one is simply to deny the request for an exemption, and then they will come to us a public meeting in the near future, and we'll go through our standard process. So, committee members, Councillor Carter.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I think the process of the public meeting is important. I think that we've found that through the process on our planning meetings, they're enlightful, they're engaging, we learn new information, people get an opportunity to have a voice. I think it's important when it comes to this process that we keep the public process going.
Councillor Sanders.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We've been consistent as a committee, and the committee's always had the public engagement so that at least we hear back. And sometimes nobody shows up, sometimes lots of people show up. But if we don't go through that process, then, you know, we're stifling it for one. There's no sense changing our procedure, what we've always done.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Chapman.
I'll move that we deny the request.
Okay, we have a written motion.
Well, there's no motion on the floor. We need to get a motion on the floor.
Okay.
I'm suggesting we deny the request. I'll make a motion to deny the request. When this came originally, it was further north. Yeah. It was just south of Wentworth Street, and there was some interest from the public that live in that area between Harbour Road and Wentworth, I guess. Right? So I think it should go back to a public meeting. And if those people that are interested, if they're still interested or have any concerns, they can come and voice their opinion to the committee and council. I think that's the best way to go.
Anything further? We have a motion to deny the request. It isn't to deny the tower, it's just to deny the request for an exemption.
Deny the exemption to not have to have a public meeting. Right?
Yeah, he's moved it. Okay. To the committee. All in favor? Carried. Unanimous. Good. That's good. Now, so there's, well done. Now, moving back. Now, okay, so that takes care of, now, so we have reports from the advisory committee. The first one is on the McLaughlin House. And we do have a motion prepared, and I'd like to read it very carefully and slowly.
Mr. Chairman, that the recommendation HTG-17-86 from Heritage Oshawa to designate 195 Simcoe Street North as a property of cultural heritage significance under the Ontario Heritage Act be referred to staff for report. That staff send the Heritage Report resolution and Heritage Report related to 195 Simcoe Street North and information on City's Heritage Property Tax Reduction Program to the owner of the property and request input from the owner on Heritage Oshawa's recommendation to designate the property. That the report from staff include the input that may be received from the property owner.
Okay. To the committee. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Robert. To the committee. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Good. So, to the good people that just spoke, you will be advised when the report comes back to this committee. And I'm going to assume it may be a while. Okay, I'm not going to assume a short time frame, but I'm going to assume before spring break, summer break. Okay. Okay, so that's good. Thank you. Very good. So that is taken care of. So next we have we have a report from Heritage Oshawa on Community Heritage Ontario seeking support for federal action. And could I get a motion to endorse that?
Move to endorse.
By Councillor Pitterbecke. All in favor? Carried. And lastly in this one, Oshawa Accessibility Advisory Committee. Let's just see what they're doing here. Oh, there's about to do with a meeting between their organization and Durham Regional Council, Durham Regional Transit. So, motion to endorse?
Motion to endorse.
All in favor? Carried. Now, to the good committee. We don't have any, yes, we don't have any conflicts in the open session?
No, they're both closed.
Thank you. That's good. So, let's just see where we are as we move along here. Okay, now, before the consent motion is moved to the good committee, good committee, before the consent motion is moved, any items in the open session to be pulled?
Sorry, Mr. Chair.
In the open session.
I wanted just to pull DS 1816.
Okay, good, okay, we see that, yep. Any others? If not, I'll ask for the consent agenda.
That all items listed under the heading of Public Consent Agenda for the February 5th, 2018 Development Services Committee meeting be adopted as recommended. Oh, that's the wrong one. That all items listed under the heading of Public Consent Agenda for February the 5th, 2018 Development Services Committee be adopted as recommended with the exception of those pulled for discussion.
Very good. To the committee, all in favor? Carried. Now, this goes to council. Is there a family day in February?
Yes,
Does it affect our next council meeting?
yes, it'll be on a Tuesday.
So, to everyone present, an example, we don't know everybody in the audience, and we don't know often, but I do recognize Mr. Hanu Hallman. So all your report will go to council 2 weeks tomorrow night because of family day. It'll be a Tuesday night council meeting, okay? So that's all I can tell you. So everything on the agenda was recommended to council as the report stated. The open agenda, yes. Yep, you're absolutely correct. So with that, I'll now go to DS 1816 and Councillor Carter.
First of all, good afternoon, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to take...
Will you move it? Are you in favor of moving it? Do you like something
Yeah,
else?
I'll move it.
You're
I'll move
moving
it,
it?
yeah.
Thank you.
So, move the report. First of all, good afternoon, Mr. Ralph. Just want to say, I found the report very, very informative, but I just have a couple questions just for clarification because I found the numbers a little, wow, kind of thing. So I'm wondering if we might be able to have some discussion about it. I'm going to refer to the report itself, and I'm on page 55, bold 55. So in table 1, it says City of Oshawa housing units disbursement by type. It says single detached, semis, townhouse, apartment, 17,735 units. What makes it an apartment? Can I get a clarification on that, please? Good afternoon, Mr. Monroe.
Good afternoon. Through you, Chair Aker. The apartment column would include standalone apartment buildings as well as basement apartments.
Okay. And there, the 17,735 would be known units that we are aware of, correct?
These are units which we have been tracking for several decades.
Okay. All
So
right.
what we do is we use the census as our starting point.
Okay.
We then track forward by monitoring building permits on a monthly basis.
Okay.
And then add in demolitions if there are any, or subtract the demolitions rather, and come up with a new figure.
Now, Mr. Monroe, and I'm just asking because I don't know this, that number of apartments, I'm under the presumption that that's grown pretty significant over the last 5 years.
I think through you, Chair Aker, I believe it's fair to say that over the last, say, even decade, it's grown significantly.
Okay.
In the late 90s, early 2000s, when we would report on through building permits for apartments, it would not be very many. It would be less than probably 40 or 50. Now, in the last couple of years with UIT, Durham College, Trent, and the Urban Growth Center in downtown, and there seems to be, the market has come here, so to speak, that we've had a renewed interest in apartments and condominiums.
Through you, Chair Aker, to Mr. Monroe. Mr. Monroe, would that also include those great developments that Podium has built for us on Simcoe? Would they fall into that category as apartment also?
Through you, Chair Aker, some of the Podium developments are apartments. So the at 1900 Simcoe, it's 308 bachelor apartment units. Other Podium developments are back-to-back or stacked townhouses, which we do also count as apartments, but they have it's a different built form.
Okay. And I noticed that the vacancy rate is it says 2.5%, and I know that you're pulling these numbers from CMHC, but I'm pretty sure our own market is below 1% on the vacancy rates on rental units, from my experience.
Right.
And I know it's a debatable issue, but I just you're using the best information, correct?
Through you, Chair Aker, we get this information on an annual basis from CMHC. It's published in October of each year.
Okay.
And one of the things which you need to remember when you're looking at vacancy rates is that CMHC will publish data which is for the Oshawa CMA,
Yes.
which includes Clarington and Whitby. And then they also have 2 zones in Oshawa, Zone 1 and Zone 2, and generally speaking, it's north-south.
Great. Okay. Still on 55, Table 2, Oshawa Assisted Seniors Units 2017. Can you just give me, these are specific units that are built for seniors? Is that what the table represents?
Table 2 is it represents that were built specifically for seniors. This table has not changed much in the last, I would think, 4 or 5 years. This information is provided from Durham Region.
Okay. And we're looking at a total of 1,000 units in the Oshawa CMA. Is that correct?
That's Oshawa, not the CMA.
Oh, this is Oshawa? We've got 1,000 units for seniors?
Correct.
Wow. Okay.
That number, through you, Chair Aker, my recollection is that number hasn't changed in the last 5 or 6 housing monitoring reports.
Just again for clarifications, Mr. Monroe and Mr. Chair, be patient with me because it's just an important report, and again, I can't say it enough, but it's a great report. Over to page 56 under Table 3, it says Oshawa Assisted Family Non-Senior Units 2017, 2,277 units. Is this Oshawa or is this Oshawa CMA?
Through you, Chair Aker, this is City of Oshawa.
So this is City of Oshawa. That's almost 2,300 units out of, I think, about 6,000 units that are available across the region of Durham.
Through you, Chair Aker, I'm not sure the number across the region. I only track the numbers within the City of Oshawa.
I guess the point being is that it seems like we do have quite a strong commitment to this sector in the community to be able to provide housing for those that are seeking housing in our community. Would you agree with that statement?
Through you, Chair Aker, I think that's a fair statement.
Okay. Sorry, Mr. Chair. The only other thing that I wanted to try and ask Mr. Monroe again is this goes to the CMHC rental market reports. This is their information again. This is page 59. I'm sorry about that, Mr. Monroe. Table 10. Again, is these numbers, I know that they're provided by Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation, but from the private apartment rental market, I would say that they're undervalued. I guess I'm asking a question that would be: do you agree with that?
Through you, Chair Aker, I don't have much experience with respect to property values in terms of what the rental accommodations get. We rely on CMHC to provide us with their data. They collect their data on an annual basis. I'm assuming they rely on the industry to provide them with data as well.
Yeah.
And they come out in October of every year, and that's the source of information that we have traditionally used.
I found the information very helpful. So, Mr. Chair, I wanted to make sure that this report just didn't get passed and moved on, because the amount of work that went into this report was tremendous. So I want to take this opportunity to say thank you to Mr. Monroe and his team, and Commissioner Ralph, thank you to your team also, because I found this information very, very helpful when we're trying to address the housing hurdles that we have in our community as a growing, vibrant community. So well done. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
To the committee, the motion is before us. Any other councillors? If not, all in favor? Carried. Good. So we are at, moving along, items to be introduced by councillors. Now I know that Laura has something to hand out. Oh, it's the mayor, Mayor Henry.
Thank you, Chair Aker. So as it's circulated now, I'll read it so that will speed things up. That the Development Services Committee recommends as City Council, whereas Canada's Post Office distribution facility at 47 Simcoe Street South in downtown Oshawa is planned to be relocated to a new distribution facility that is being built on Ritson Road north of Adelaide Avenue East, and whereas Canada Post has indicated that the downtown site would become surplus to their needs and likely be put up for sale after the new distribution facility is complete. And whereas from an economic development and job growth perspective, it is appropriate to further strengthen the technology and entrepreneurial ecosystem by encouraging companies, academic programs, government support agencies to co-locate. And whereas a thriving technology sector is dependent upon attracting talent that increasingly desires urban locations, high-quality transportation, or high-quality transit, biking, walking options, a range of housing opportunities, and access to a high level of cultural, entertainment, culinary, commercial, and recreational amenities. And whereas the downtown Oshawa Urban Growth Center, along its current and planned residential and mixed-use development, existing transit connections, existing core of business and academic activities, planned transit improvements and linkages to a new GO station and UOIT Durham College broadband fiber network owned by the OPUC, and concentration of amenities provided a unique urban experience in Durham region. And whereas one of the actions identified in Oshawa's Downtown Plan 2020 calls for supporting entrepreneurship and the Spark Center, as well as attracting new entrepreneurs and startup companies, and whereas the post office facility is centrally positioned in downtown and would be an ideal location and building for a cluster of entrepreneurial and technology development activity, and the city desires to support the creation of such an innovation hub. Therefore be it resolved that Mayor Henry be authorized to send a letter to Canada Post and or the Federal Crown indicating that in the event that Canada Post or the Federal Crown decide to dispose of the post office site at 47 Simcoe Street South in the future, that the City of Oshawa would like to be given the first opportunity to consider acquiring the land and building. Chair, this is very similar to what we did down at the harbor not too long ago, where we're simply asking for first right of refusal when the property comes available. So I'm asking for your support.
Excellent motion. To the committee, any comments? Councillor Carter.
Mr. Chair, I have to make a declaration on this. This is 47 Simcoe Street South. It is the Canada Post building with within the BIA boundaries. And also, once again, my apologies, but as an owner of properties and member of BIA, I must make a declaration.
Thank you.
So I'll call for a recorded vote.
Thank you, Mayor Henry. Councillor Kerr.
With your indulgence, Chair Aker, I don't believe I can forward an amendment to this, can I, or an addition? But I would ask for a councillor to consider, and it's only a point of addition as opposed to clarification. One of the items that was mentioned earlier up in the whereas in the middle of the page was related to biking options. And I think for clarification, if we're going to, in the next item, mention the planned transit improvements, I don't think that's specific to biking, and I just thought it would be of additional benefit to mention the fact that we have a linkage of the various bike lanes in the city. The Athol Street bike path's going to run right by there. It's going to connect Mary, Kalodzi, and the Michael Starr paths, and I think it's significant enough in this day and age that it should be included as an item within that whereas. Small point, but I think it would be of additional benefit.
Councillor Chapman.
Just point of clarity, the whereas is only the setup. It's actually the motion is the therefore. So there's no transit mentioned in the therefore, and it's just given the mayor authority. We don't need to amend whereases. That's just like you speaking.
I just thought we could make the whereas a little stronger, that's all.
If there's nothing further to the committee, all in favor?
Recorded vote.
Okay, recorded vote. Thank you.
Mayor Henry?
Yes.
Councillor Pietrowicki?
Thank you.
Aker?
Mayor Henry?
Yes, I know in the closed consent agenda there are 4 items. I'm prepared, or there are 5 items, but I'm prepared to move 23, 24, 25, and 26 as recommended right now.
Okay, that's just the...
So you do.
Okay, I see. So what we have to do is alter the agenda.
So I'll give you a motion to alter the agenda to bring items DS 1823, 1824, 1825, and 1826 forward.
Yep. On altering the agenda, all in favor? Carried.
Chair Aker, I'll give you a motion to move all of them as recommended.
Good. Any to the committee? Are any of them going to be pulled? Okay, okay. Okay. So that's okay. So that's what we have. So on the balance, all in favor? Carried. Now, just so we can talk to some before we do other things, there are people in the audience to hear from Oshawa Live, I believe it is. And it basically, let's just see. April, 2 weeks to,
December 20th.
yeah,
Or, sorry, February
yeah,
20th.
2 weeks tomorrow. Now, to give you some peace of mind, uh, I can't see any councillor opposing it, simple as that. So, that's all I can tell you. Now, we have to now go back to, but what we've done, we have to go in camera, and we've also...
No, unless the questions don't need to be.
Okay,
If
Councillor Sanders, your questions have to be in camera, aren't they? Yes.
Then
Okay.
Councillor Federbeck has a motion.
Do you have a motion for us to go in camera?
That all items listed under the heading of closed
No,
consent
next-
agenda,
next
you
one.
want the following should be used.
Just a question, we're just going in on